So one of the most fundamental aspects of physics is units. A lot of people, might go through high school and units was the intro part of the intro physics class that all you do is you do some calculations and stick some centimeters or Kelvin temperature units on the end, and that's it. But it's really important to understand that units are actually quite deeply connected to physics, and oftentimes, as we'll see later on, you can use units to solve problems without even really doing anything else. Units can be potentially very powerful if used properly. So, what is a unit? A unit is a physical measurement of something. I could say that this marker is a unit. I could say this board is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5 markers tall. There's a system of units that we, pretty much the whole world agrees on and standardize. Here in America, we don't tend to use them except in science, but the rest of the world does use them. That system is called the SI system of units. It stands for System International. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. It's French. But it's the international standard system of units. So there's a few different properties we're interested in measuring generally. One of them is length, which has an SI unit of the meter, which we abbreviate as M. There's time, which has the unit of the second. There is temperature, which has unit of Kelvin, which we abbreviate as K. Kelvin uses the same type of spacing as does Celsius. It's just shifted 273 degrees. So the lowest temperature in the Kelvin system is 0, and the lowest in the Celsius system is negative 273. And we have mass, which uses the kilogram. These are 4 base units that are going to be very important to our studies. Another unit that is not a base unit is that of force, which uses the unit of the Newton, named after Isaac Newton. So the true mark of success is if you get a unit named after yourself, you've done something right. So these are the units we're going to be using, and the Newton can be broken down into a product of mass in kilograms and divided by some seconds, but we're not going to go into that right now. That's going to happen later. So for now, what we want to do is, the units in themselves are great, but we want to be able to convert them back and forth between other units. So let's say that I want to convert 3 meters, and I want to know how many inches are there in 3 meters. So how many inches in 3 meters? Now, there's a general strategy that I've developed that you can use to convert pretty much anything. And if you really understand the strategy and get comfortable with it, unit conversions will not be an issue for you. So the general strategy has 4 steps. Step 1 is to identify the conversion. What that means is we want to figure out what is it that we are converting. Are we converting from what to what? So in this case, we want to know how many inches. If the problem asks how many something, that something is what we want to end up with. So we want to go 2 inches. We want to know, okay, how many inches are there in 3 meters? So we're going from meters to inches. Step 2 is to identify what I'm going to call the in-between units. what I mean by that is we can't convert directly from meters to inches. We don't know the conversion. But I'll give you, however, that 1 meter has about 3.28 feet. So we know how many feet there are with respect to meters, and we also know how many inches are in a foot. So it might make sense to convert from meters first to feet and then to inches. That's what I mean by in-between units. The foot is the in-between unit here. Step 3 is to write the conversion factors. Now, you may not have heard of conversion factors before, you might not know what they are, but they're very useful. And even if you think that you don't need to write them for problems like this, which are relatively straightforward, it's good to get in the habit of it, because later on there are going to be more difficult problems that you really need to write the conversion factors for. So, to tackle this, here's what the conversion factor is. So we're going from 3 meters to inches. So we're going to write down the 3 meters first. And a conversion factor is a fraction which takes you from one unit to another unit. And what it does this by essentially, you're multiplying by 1. And here's how we're going to do it. So first step is to go to feet, right? So we're going to divide 3 meters. We want to get rid of the meters. So I'm going to put meters on the bottom. And that will cancel the meters on the top. And we want to go 2 feet. So I'm going to put feet right there. And then we have to fill in where the numbers are. So we know there are 3.28 feet. There's the bell. There are 3.28 feet in 1 meter. So that's great. Now we have an answer of feet. But we're not done because we need to get to inches. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, well now we need to get to inches, so we're going to put feet on the bottom to cancel out the feet on top. And then we're going to put inches on top because that's what we actually want. And there are 12 inches in 1 foot. That's the brunt of the problem. Step 4 is to multiply and divide as is appropriate. So when you're multiplying and dividing these conversion factors, what you want to do is essentially have a set of fractions. This 3 meters is really just over an invisible 1. So you're going to multiply the numerator all together, and then you're going to multiply the denominator together. I don't have a calculator on me, but 3 times 3 is 9. If we say that's about 3, so this is about 9, maybe 10. Let's say it's 10. So 10 times 120, maybe a little bit lower than that, is probably about 118 inches. So that's all there really is to it. You have to be careful when doing this step, when you put it into your calculator, if you're going to use a calculator, because it won't always calculate what you want it to calculate, or what you think it's calculating. So this is the general strategy for converting units, and go to the next video where we're going to cover some more examples as to how we can apply this, particularly in more difficult situations.